We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Amello, Nick Kling, and we're joined now by our good friend Ed Bain. His website is edbain.com. He is the creator of the betting angle that's become known as the 4 and 30 betting stat, trainer stat. He's been a friend for a long time. It's been a while since he's been back on the program because he's busier than a one-arm paper hanger. Ed Bain, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really good, Tom. Hello, Nick.
Good morning, Ed. How are you?
Ed, I'm doing really good.
There are a couple of reasons that we invited you to join us today, and the main reason is your most recent newsletter raises a couple of important issues for handicappers and bettors, and I thought it would be a fruitful conversation to talk about how you're dealing with change in the game from your perspective and the way you attack the game, your methodology, as food for thought for other players who have to deal with the same changes that you're dealing with. And then we'll talk a little bit about Susan and the vertical bets. But
okay.
Ed, you and I, we had a phone conversation, I think it was during the summer, about how the game has changed for you because of the economy and how your bread and butter claiming trainers, lacking owners, if you will, because of the economy, are not claiming the way they used to. So why don't you just provide the context for the discussion and then talk about how you're dealing with it in terms of modifying your play.
That sounds good. The claiming trainers really is one of the central issues for me because the owners who used to buy are no longer here. It's been explained to me that all the dumb money is gone from betting now. We used to put in $15 billion a year betting on the horses. Now we're down to like 12.5 billion a year, and it's the people that used to bus into the tracks. From the old folks' home, they come in and make bets on the colors or names. And that money is out of racing now, which has had a big effect on the claiming trainers. As an example, there used to be a big owner here in the Mid-Atlantic named Robert L. Cole, and he used to get about 800 starts a year, which is huge. Put him right up there in the top three in money earned and also win percentage. He carried a 40% win rate. Entire year after year, and all he did was claim horses. I've had 3 bets with him this year, and he's almost out completely. And he used to have a variety of trainers he used to claim horses with. Now he only has one.
Well, and
he very rarely claims from this point on.
Let me just say, when you're talking about quote, and I'll put it in quotes, the dumb money, the recreational money, if you will. We've been saying for years that as the game has changed and as the casual bettor has stopped going to the track and as the economy has changed, the sharks have been eating. Another way of saying it is the sharks are feeding off each other. The professional gamblers and players and the serious recreational players are pretty much feeding off each other these days, which is another way of saying the same thing. There's less money in the pool, so you have to be much sharper. So, all right, so now there are less claims. And so that not only affects your stats, but it also affects price, right?
Oh, it has a horrible effect on pricing, because what's happened is the field sizes have gotten smaller, and as the field sizes get smaller, so does the morning line odds that are set for those fields. So what happens is the bets that I have to have, which is 3-1. 5-2 and 3-1. Those 2 bets are the center of what I actually bet. I mean, you can't bet long shots to really over the long term.
Are you there? Or did we lose him?
I think he was on a cell.
Okay.
Comes an issues is field size with this reduction in the amount of money bet through racing. So it's killed me when it comes to average win mutual for my wins.
Well, and let me just make something clear. You've always maintained that part of your success is maintaining meticulous records, and so almost anyone who's keeping records and not just playing out of their pocket day in and day out should be able to look at their records and say and see how things have changed and what they have to do, right?
Yes, and the real advantage of record keeping is to recognize the trend you're in. Sometimes, you just make a little bit of a change here to think you're making things better, and you actually, over the long term, make them worse. And I am very, very strong about staying with my filters, and I've played for the past 16 years, the same filters over and over for 16 years. And now I had to change my filters mainly because of those two things, field size and no more.
All right, so Ed, let's talk about the changes, some of the changes that you've made in your filters.
The biggest one I had to make was 2 stats in one race. I always avoided that because it always seemed like you bet the wrong one, and then you get your heart ripped out when the other one comes in.
Yep.
So I stopped betting that. The other thing that I started doing was lowering from the 4+30 to 4+25, just to bring in another group of trainers, because what I was getting centered on was the same group of trainers that, because they're layoff trainers predominantly and one last race trainers, they don't supply the consistency that the claiming trainers provide.
Okay.
So I wanted to get another group of trainers in to expand out hitting 1 out of 4 is really still really, really good for any trainer. That's a 25% win rate. And so what I wanted to do was get those types of trainers who I wouldn't bet in the past because their stats were too low, what I consider too low. And expand out the number of trainers I was looking at. The other thing that I've done is, because I have a new, it's not new, I've had it for about 8 months now, an interactive betting program. I can put in the...
You there?
Through odds. That really has an extreme effect on the number of races to select from.
And we have to tell you that you're cutting in and out, so we didn't hear much of that last your interactive betting program.
Okay, field size is something in the interactive program that I can put in, so that I can bet, say, 10-horse field sizes constantly. But the problem is, it cuts down on the number of races available to select to bet.
I got you. Okay.
So in other words, 10-horse fields are hard to find with stats in them.
Yeah. Now, let me just say. So, so you've recognized a change in the game. The changes in the game have affected your bottom line, and you've made some changes. And again, the point of the conversation is that to a certain degree, something similar should be happening to everyone. We find more and more short price favorites. And Nick and I were talking before we came on air, Nick, that you look at the paper, and whatever methodology you're using, you see more and more short price favorites who, in short fields, who just look on paper and often run to their paper and diminish your opportunity to get money from the pool. Right, Nick?
Yeah. Well. As a player, I would hate to go up against Nick on an everyday basis trying to make money.
You're funny. Nick?
Well, I think that one of the reasons for that, Ed, and I'd be interested in your opinion, is because of there's like a concentration of horses in the hands of the people that are still in the game, whether it be the trainers that we're all familiar with, like Todd Pletcher on the stakes side, or Rick Dutrow on the stakes to claiming side, or now in New York, Rudy Rodriguez. We get a concentration of the live horses in the hands of fewer and fewer people.
Yes, and that's another serious problem. That's what I was trying to do, why I lowered my criteria,
right.
Was to expand out the trainers, because I was getting on the same group, and most trainers, other than claiming trainers when they're claiming, hit in bunches. They just seem to cluster all their wins together over a short period of time. They may carry a 40% win rate, and then all of a sudden hit 6 out of 8.
All right, Ed, let me ask you this. Let's shift from you and just very briefly talk about Susan's strategy for fractional wagering and the superfecta, trifecta pools that she's betting.
But Susan is an exceptional player when it comes to designing tickets, and she's also exceptional at determining which races to bet. That's always been an issue with me, which is the right ones to select. And I developed a program, an interactive program, that actually has 6 fields to it. But the biggest one is called range pages, and it just gives you a range of, like, since I'm a trainer player, I get a range on trainer win counts or his place counts or his show counts. In other words, if I say I want to have Susan says she wants to have a trainer who hits 3rd or 4th 60% of the time, she can find that out in this page. Okay. And it also gives you can separate it by morning line and start with a specific morning line, which she does, which is 9 to 2. So in field size, which is a 10-horse field or above, and average position. So she figures out that, well, what I want to bet is trifectas and superfectas, so win doesn't matter, but 3rd and 4th does. And we can pull up all of those races that happen. Now, the program, actually, what it does is you can put the average win payout for the average win of the horse. And also on it, but I don't pay. It's already built into the program, so you don't have to do any.
So let me ask you this. Okay, if you're fortunate enough to have a program, then you have your edge. But basically, what Susan's doing is taking more of the logicals, if you will, if not all, in some of the slots, and keying the high percentages that you can deduce from your program or from your study for place and price, or show and price, or 4th for price, and making the 10 cents